So what is food waste in particular? Well, according to Feeding America, a nonprofit that has over 200 food banks feeding 46 million starving Americans, classifies food waste as high-quality, good food being thrown away rather than eaten, which incidentally makes up 40% of total food production in America. Now, reasons why food is wasted in America comes down to a number of different factors. We have economic factors, where too much of one crop is made. And sometimes, because of these low prices, we gotta boot some crops, unfortunately. This also has to do with, we simply have spoilage in our homes. Manufacturers, different supply line issues, many different reasons are because of food waste. Firstly on this list, we have 2% of total food waste, which is mainly attributed to manufacturers. Nextly, we have 16% from farming industries. This can come down to a number of different factors. It can be economically speaking. Sometimes food prices are too low, and in order to break even, they're going to have to sacrifice a few crops. Next, we have a startling jump, which is 40%. This is from the grocery stores and restaurants that we frequently visit. Now, I understand sometimes our eyes are too big for our stomachs, and we don't eat as much as we should have. And we leave some for leftovers, or we just don't eat it at all. Unfortunately, that does mean that we waste an awful lot of food. Grocery stores in particular are villains in this anime arc. Unfortunately, because there are certain foods that have inclusions, there are some foods that have twinning issues where they're two conjoined vegetables that are a little aesthetically not pleasing, or the shape is not quite right. Lastly, as I spoke on earlier, we have a 43% of total food waste, which is mainly attributed to us. Sometimes we leave food in the cupboard for too long, or in the fridge for too long, which unfortunately leads to spoilage. There's a study done from 1936 to 2006, where it goes over how calorie counts and portion sizes have almost jumped by 50% per meal. Unfortunately, this means that there's more food that needs to be bought, more crops that need to be sowed, and more food that is unfortunately wasted. So I know what you might be thinking now. How do I limit the waste that I provide into the universe? Well, there's a very easy answer. Do you see the date on this milk carton? Now I know what you might be thinking. Oh, that date must be the date that it expires at. I should throw it away by this date. However, more often than not, you will find once this date passes, it actually does not expire. It's good for a few days afterwards. And you think you're getting away with something a little sly. However, there is actually something inherently wrong with the way that we date our foods. Interestingly, there is an act being passed, or used to be passed, in 2021 called the Food Labeling Act. This is going to alter the way that we see dates on our milk cartons, on our food, on everything. There are two ways that this Food Labeling Act aims to prevent food waste. And these two ways are the way that this date here is labeled. There's a best if used by, and there's a best if eaten by. One has to do with the quality of the food, one has to do with the safety. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Won't those be the same number? They're actually not. Food safety has a little more importance to it than quality. With donations, and with selling, this date is encouraged. If I'm going to donate this milk carton, or if I'm going to donate some beef, some canned food, and that date has expired, it'd be illegal for me to sell because I'm poisoning people. However, I will be able to sell past, with this new act, the quality date. I will never be able to sell past the safety date, thanks to the Food Labeling Act of 2021.